I've always, well, interesting question. Where do y'all think I fall in the mix? So in top media personalities, this is how I think. You name your favorite media personality right now, just spam it. I've always thought Charlemagne and Joe Budden were 1A, 1B, were 1 and 2. It could switch on any day, any month. I don't know who the top 5 would be. I'm talking about media personality that's valued for, I don't want to say just hip hop culture like it's only music, but like for the culture we care about. I'm going to read what y'all saying. Somebody says me, Joe, Ak. I see people putting, who else? Gilly. Okay. Somebody says Kevin Samuels. Some people say Wendy Williams as well. Okay. All right. Anyway, I only say that to kind of almost intro topic a bit. To put a button on everything, my gripe and everything with the Stooges is over. I've proven my point. They got fired on air. I did encore and victory lap after victory lap. It should be no question in nobody's mind if those two niggas are ever more successful than me, knowledgeable more than me, know business more than me, smarter than me, funny than me, creative more. Nothing. I violated to the utmost extent. I went hard. I made it a point that you could never in your life have that discussion with somebody. But really, they aren't the big leagues. The big leagues really is Joe. The big leagues is Charlemagne. And I've watched like over the last week, like shit get nasty between Charlemagne and Joe. It's nasty now, bro. This shit is nasty. I've mentioned on this platform before that, like, truth be told, I like both of them. I talk to both of them. Shoot. I don't know if I'm that much of a peacemaker. Some of y'all think I'm an instigator. But, you know, I've hoped they could, like, you know, reconcile. Because I do think, you know, just like how basketball is happy when the Knicks are in the playoffs, when everybody's available to do content, and even if there's like, you know, competition, when people are bouncing off each other, it's a good time. Anyway, I'm going to watch 2 clips that I'm going to give you an opinion. All right? After Mealy Mall and Ruri got dismissed, like the bums they are, Brilliant Idiots spoke on it, and I want to watch this on here. I forgot where it's at.
The people that are, you know, taking advantage of the creators, right? So, you know, you create this enemy, but the truth is you really just want to be a part of that situation, which is sad, and that's what happens a lot of times. A lot of times we become what we hate. You know what I'm saying?
Or we've always been it. We just never had the power to expose it.
You hate it.
Very true. Or we never got accepted by it. That's another thing too, right? It's like that. It's like that girl that keeps ignoring you over and over and over. So you try to get
ever do a special with a major streaming platform at all. So I am not saying people
would learn from their experiences, but I guess they don't, and that's why I got to question said person, and I got to question the person's team. You know what I mean? Number one, how do you continue to end up in these situations if you have the experience? And number two, how does your team continue to put you in these situations? And this goes back to what started, you know, his rants against me last fall. I said one simple thing on Breakfast Club, one simple thing. I think the brother understands his value, he knows his worth, but he doesn't know how to negotiate it. Yeah. Which is essentially saying I don't think he knows the business like he thinks he knows the business. Then which caused him to go on all these rants, about me, about, oh, you're not an owner and you're not this and you're not that, blah, blah, blah. I didn't give a damn. People like, oh, Charlemagne.
That's insecurity though.
Explain.
That's if you're saying something that's not even a diss, I think that's constructive criticism.
Yes.
I think that is like just general basic analysis.
I thought so.
So when you come back in defense, especially, that's like if you're saying, Ivy, I think that, you work really hard, but this may not be for you. I'm not gonna be like, well, that's why you bald head, and that's why like that. You just deflecting.
Why you have to say bald headed?
I'm just. I mean, it's not what I feel. Is what you are. But it's just you're deflecting the point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is thank you for that information. Thank you for your opinion. Now I'm gonna look at why you may think that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work on it so you don't have another comment to say about my business again.
But that's
the way you do it.
And that's competition.
And the worst part about that, yes, constructive criticism. Then we even get on the phone and chop it up about that criticism. But you, behind the scenes, are one way, right? With me, asking for help, we're discussing things. But then you get on your platform
and act like you're enemies.
Act like we the worst enemies, and then now you take it somewhere where you can't come back from. At least with me, that bridge is burnt. Run with that, Reddit. Like that, you know what I'm saying?
You know
that
what?
Bridge is burnt.
It's interesting.
Burnt.
It's interesting with the parallels with Trump. I was talking to this guy who's he was like a CIA.
I've said this analogy a million times. I'd rather be the sun than the wind. Right? Remember, have you ever heard that story?
Burn the bridges, walking over someone else.
You know what I mean? And listen, I'm the type person, this is the first time I've even spoke about this since those rants last fall. But I didn't speak with words, I spoke with actions. Because that's another thing. Like, you can say whatever about me, I know what my hand is. You know what I mean? Exactly. You can say whatever about me, and I know what I'm doing. It's like, oh, Charlemagne, he don't own nothing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, hey, Black Effect Podcast Network, even though I've owned mad stuff prior to all of that, but Black Effect Podcast Network, you can go to blackeffect.com. Black Privilege Publishing, Tamika Mallory, State of Emergency, it's out right now. SBH with my man Kevin Hart at Audible. We've got answers available on Audible right now. I'm working, bro. I don't have time for the back and forth, because there is no back and forth.
Exactly.
I gave a critique, which I think now people can say without a shadow of a doubt was true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without a shadow of a doubt, I think we can say that this critique is true, because if you constantly end up in the same situations, clearly you don't know business like you think you know business. And that's fine. It's never too late to learn. God bless you. Wish you the best.
Yeah.
But as far as me, when people ask, why I don't speak on certain things, I don't want to. Me,
you don't need to.
I don't need to. Me and that brother did not sit down and come to an agreement that we wouldn't speak against each other. There's no threat he can make against me that scares me. I just don't feel the need to do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just don't. It's just that's it.
Moral of the.
All right. Let me add some commentary to this. All right. First of all, it's interesting in the place where I sit between all this. Charlemagne has been a great guy and has served as a mentor to me. Someone who is transparent without a shadow of a doubt, has talked me through things that he knew I would run into, giving me the heads up on business stuff. Someone who just being able to be within his vicinity to have a conversation with him, I have learned more. And I've always said that. When I first met Charlemagne, I never asked for a job. I never asked for anything. I knew I was going to be me in some way, shape, or form by myself. But I wanted someone who could probably help me avoid certain mistakes that maybe they've either had or they've seen other people had. And he's been someone like that. So I that's my guy. let me put everything in perspective of what he's saying. And this is where I think about a lot of this. And I'm going to play something with Joe did respond thing. The most successful black media personality, if you ask me today, if we are not counting Wendy Williams, is Charlemagne the God. I could understand how he felt slighted by Joe when Joe went on rants, basically saying, "Oh, he's working for a white corporation. He don't own nothing." I will tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt, Charlemagne is the most successful by far. It's not close with him and whoever you might think is number 2. And I say that with no caveat with it, with no fucking disclaimer. He's way more successful, media-wise, I'm only talking media-wise, than anybody else within the space. Don't tell me I'm bugging. I know it. I see the business. I know this. We're not talking about Oprah. We're talking about within the hip-hop cultural space. I'm telling you what it is. We're not talking about Steve Harvey. By the way, that's the thing. Somebody like him, if he's thinking about people to compete with, it should be Steve Harvey. Because I'm telling you, within hip-hop, he is so far ahead. The nigga is writing books. He's putting out other people books. Okay? The nigga has, was it 2-time New York Times bestseller? He's been on that like multiple times. Not only that, done a bunch of shows, has the biggest radio show still for 10 years. Like, we're going to get to talking about Drake and his accomplishment, but for 10 years, this motherfucker has had the biggest radio show. I get it. You might say radio's not whatever. Really successful podcast. Has a Comedy Central joint coming up. Bro, it's not even close. I'm fair with everything I say. Y'all should know. He's on a different level. Now, I look at it because I want to compete with everybody, including him. He's putting the work for 10 plus years on a professional level. I always say I've been in this for 10 years, but 10 years it took me to even, I felt like I went pro like 2017, 2018. I feel like I'm 4 in. So I look at people like him and I say he's doing everything he needs to do. So once the Comedy Central is dead as fuck, bro, don't try to knock another nigga's accomplishment, bro. I'm just telling you what's happening. Because I'm telling you his accomplishment because I wouldn't want nobody to knock me doing everyday struggle and be like, oh, Complex is dead as fuck. Nigga, I did that shit. What's the problem? It's like somebody knocking Joe's accomplishment and be like, oh, Revolt's dead as fuck. No, the nigga did that shit. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm just telling you currently, and I do think if you ask me, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze him, but I probably am. He probably did feel a way when when the consensus, at least when Joe was going off of his rants, was it felt like it was almost diminishing what Charlemagne did because he's not an owner, blah, 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 blah. And again, he's an owner in a bunch of stuff, but yeah. So I understand him with that. On the flip side, when it comes to Joe, because I hear Charlemagne say this, and by the way, I have personal and private conversation with both of them. So, it's not, and whatever I say here, I always am down to back up privately, whatever. I love both. I think this is where the divide is with Charlemagne and Joe. When Charlemagne says, hey, I don't think Joe may know the business the way you think he does, I think that's true and not true. That's true in the sense of, well, if you keep getting in these scenarios, you don't. I think it's not true because I don't think Joe is approaching, I don't think Joe is approaching business, even in podcasting, like how the average or regular person would. I think he's trying to change the rules. I think Joe is trying to make podcasters basically have leverage or have rights as independent artists, which that's not how it's seen. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm split with it. When Joe is talking, everything he said about Spotify, even while I was at Complex, how he was approaching Complex, he's approaching it like a artist that just dropped a hit record, and this is how it should happen, and also these are the rights that should be protected if you have that leverage early on in the game. The rap game and the music game been going on for a long while. This podcast resurgence is quite new. So Joe is looking at people to say, hey, I don't want to do business like how other people are doing business. I want to change the business model because I'm that hot this early. I don't know if y'all understand that. And by the way, I don't ever want to make y'all feel like y'all stupid because I know y'all smart. But this is where I agree with both. A lot of things that I look at Joe and I'm like, I would never do that. I look at it as him trying to change the industry because he believes he's early and new and quick to the top of an industry that he could change, as opposed to music. By the time he got there, shit was set in stone. So, to give an example, in the music industry, when you sign to a label and you drop album A, B, and C, they own the rights to that forever, whether you're on the label or not. I think Joe's business sense in terms of changing that model within podcasting is that, yo, you ain't gonna own this shit. You're essentially licensing it, and when I'm ready to leave or renegotiation comes up, I could take the whole shit with me. So this is why I wouldn't stamp that comment that Charlemagne is saying in that Joe doesn't know business. I think Joe does know business, but I think the way Joe's going about podcast business is that he's going about it as being a trailblazer and he's trying to write new rules. Just like how Dave Chappelle wrote new rules when he signed away his rights to Comedy Central. Comedy Central licensed his show to Netflix, and he threw, I'm just call it a hissy fit, and Comedy Central dropped the show, and Netflix dropped the show, and Comedy Central had to go to him and basically work out a deal that he could own the shit. I feel like I'm getting too in depth here. But anyway, I believe that was the end of his response. I'll get to what Joe said in a second.
The story is stop in the moment.
Care up, down, like I just subreddit, yo. Beads and stones. And
That shit ever again.
Let me see if anything else.
Poor leadership skills.
probably super romantic, bro. Like
around somebody and they're doing everybody dirty, if you're not checking that individual, and I'm not even speaking about that particular situation, I'm just saying in general, if you're not checking that individual, what makes you think that it's not eventually going to happen to you? I've seen it happen a million times. A million times. That's how a Wendy Williams husband is. Kelvin Hunter.
That's
it's like, you watch him do everybody dirty. What made me think it wouldn't be my turn at some point? What made me think I was different? Listen, man.
By the way, in me and Charlotte, remember we had a little hiccup real quick? I think he learned some stuff and I learned some stuff. My thing was that, bro, while I was talking to you and I was watching you mad keenly, I've waited for an opportunity that I could be officially in the league. And when I got on Everyday Struggle, I felt like he was just saying stuff like that was mostly contributing to its failure or it not being in existence. And even when it came to me, I was like, it didn't feel congratulatory. It felt like it was focused on stuff that was more bringing me down. And I think for him, he realized, yo, this dude has watched you all along. He's never been in these positions. Even if you're going to give those critique, don't only give the critique, be there to congratulate him when he does make a move. So be there to give him his flowers, even if you're going to later on try to correct him. And I think we got through that part. But watching how he handles stuff, right? Let me see. I just forgot what I was saying.
Love you.
Hey, that's just the treat other people. Eventually, it's gonna be your turn, and that's why I
yeah, no. I'm addressing this whole thing about because for a second I thought Charlemagne was a straight hater. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm gonna be honest. He's straight with it. I always told you that story when I first went to the Breakfast Club, where I went up there to interview Charlemagne, and the intern that brought me up there, I used to work with at my college. And the intern had told them, they said, if it's one motherfucker I do not want y'all to interview or ever fuck with, it's Akademiks. And Charlemagne was like, bro, that's my nigga from Twitter, bro. I'm gonna talk to him. And and the chick who said that brought me upstairs that day. I had no idea she had smoke for me. And when Charlemagne came out of an interview, he immediately brought up, and I respect him for that because it's true to his personality. He said, yo, Ak, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know what you did to her, but yo, she fucking hates you, bro. Like, bro, you might owe her an apology. He kicked it off right then, right there. Like, yo, y'all solve y'all issues right now. And it was news to me. But to address the whole thing with because I think Joe sees him as a hater too. In hindsight, after me and him have, kind of repaired our, relationship. We're not repaired, but just, clarify some shit. I don't know if Charlamagne's a hater or just someone who he's kind of historically correct. He's watched a lot of shit happen and he says it with no filter. Yo, Joe don't care about y'all bum ass niggas. Y'all niggas might get fired. What happened? Them niggas got fired. So I think it's the way he puts stuff across that may make him come across like a hater. I don't think he's a hater, but he's one of those people who he forecasts and he puts it out there without trying to give you something to make you feel good. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling. It's all good. All right. Yeah, no, I feel like he does speak facts because even now I talk to him, I'm like, yo, sure, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was kind of I felt the way how you predicted how everyday struggle would be. But in hindsight, watching how everything went on, you were right. My only gripe with you is just that for me, who's a newcomer, I wish you would have shown me some love at least when it first kicked off. Not just be the person just predicting it was gonna end. So, he's right a lot, but it's a thin line for most people in terms of accepting you giving your honest opinion and thinking you're hating. Let me just play this Joe shit real quick. Then I'm moving on from all this media shit. I ain't got time for it. And if you wanna, or if you're interested in any type of shit between these motherfuckers in terms of media, or Joe with women claiming this, or Charlemagne ex-rape accuser, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't play like that with media personalities. I think that's dirty. I've always told y'all, if y'all ask why I think Charlemagne has some respect for me, why Joe has some respect for me, because when people were trying to use my platform as a conduit to try to take them down in planting stories that were pretty obvious that it was a plant, you're going to send me a clip from an Instagram with one view, and you're like, hey, this might be going on about Joe or going on about Charlemagne. Bro, you're hoping I post it to add fire to it to hope these motherfuckers lose their jobs. Again, I have no comment about those situations, and I remove myself at any time those type of situations are happening. I like to compete, but I don't ever want to have to do that to try to bring down an opponent, okay, or a peer. I don't like that. Anyway, let me listen to what Joe had to say.
Which
kept me in Queens. And I
X, Y, and Z.
Participants in this media game. Shit.
And that's what, like, yo, again, he's talking about the black narrative. He's talking about a whole bunch of shit. How when you get a platform and you get a voice, you start tearing us down, and they'll let you rock. They'll let you rock. Start saying something about someone.
By the way, real quick, if I ever wonder, I've always thought this. I think Joe found out my real character in a lot of ways. Despite us working on Everyday Struggle together, whatever, you know, there was little slight shots, blah, 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 whatever, back and forth. Cool. But in moments that people try to come for him, and in moments that if I really felt that I didn't like him, and in moments, you know, when people are, it's like somebody who you don't know if they like you, but they probably don't really like you. The moment you're getting jumped, they're running in and like try to like kick you in the head, all type of shit. You know why? Because they see everybody piling on. I've never been that person. I hit Joe up to be like, yo, hey, I'm going to just let you know right now, motherfuckers that send me documents talking about your baby mama. File this with a lawyer. It's not on any dockets. It's not in court. But somehow we got this paperwork. What the fuck? I'm going to give you that information. Whatever you do with it is what you do with it. Same idea with Charlemagne. Yo, Char, I don't know what's going on, but motherfuckers is sending me a whole detailed and even audio conversations with someone who's trying to say they're a victim, and they have a whole story about you. They felt because of whatever discrepancies we might have publicly right now, they want you to they want me to bury you. I don't want no parts of that. That's how I think you earn someone's respect. I don't know if people, I don't know if maybe I'm doing too much that people wouldn't do for me, but I look into most of these things and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Let me play the clip though.
Some of them other groups, they shutting that shit down. But with us, they'll let you go. You could nigga bitch all day, but you start saying something about somebody else, it's gonna come to a halt. And that's what he's basically preaching. Like, yo, y'all tearing us down. He's like, yo, I'm a bus. My mother lives on a golf course, nigga. He's made $65 million.
People gotta stop bringing people's families into shit.
Yeah,
too.
like, again, if he made $65 million, only us, do you call that a bus?
Right.
That's only with us. Do you call out a bus?
Nobody else does that.
Fucking doctors, surgeons, lawyers, they don't make $65 million in a lifetime, and they parents and they family be bragging about them like they the best shit since sliced bread. With us, we the motherfuckers that'll find a way to nitpick it.
To reference the Michael Jordan doc, again, the internet went crazy when Jerry Krause offered Pippen that contract, and he took it, right? But when you hear Pippen talk about it, yo, I come from a family of 10. We've been poor my entire life, and I promised my mother that I would do something to take us out of there. So, yeah, y'all might be telling me that $10 million over however many years is bad, but at the time...
Nigga, a whole generation hasn't seen $10 million. You take everybody in his family and put them together, and they ain't make $10 million collectively.
Yeah. You were saying? Listen, I don't know how to pod anymore, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how to pod. Podding used to be such a transparent, organic place, and then big money got involved, and I don't know, man. Let me just
What's it called? Cancel culture?
Not even. I want to stay on that point that you were making for 2 seconds. Now that I'm clear in thought, let me try to articulate this. I don't even know how you articulate it.
Just give it to us. Nah, you gotta be you sometimes.
Yeah, just give it to us.
Oh,
man.
finally. Oh, shit. Wow. Fine. Yes. Oh, my God. Can I get a drop? Yeah, Jesus, finally. They'll let me be me for a change. Because a lot of people were watching me last year, but not really understanding me. They wasn't feeling me. They wasn't really smelling me. I know I say I'm Thanos a lot. And it's funny, and we laugh and we joke, because we have our inside jokes and we talk behind the scenes. I'll try to share a little bit here now. last year when I was going on those Spotify rants, the rants saying that, I mean, I'm not even sure what they were saying. I guess I was giving a detailed look at some of the things that I was experiencing behind the scenes. And while that was happening, right, because I'm Thanos, every time I say and do something, there's like a wave of, and that's how the internet and this media game works, there's a wave of people that just start talking. And I am a part of that culture. Let me be clear. So when I say the gig is the gig, there's a lot of people that's trying to do the gig, but don't really know what comes with the gig. And in that, there are a lot of companies that want to do business with people that get the gig, but they don't really get the gig.
Okay, I'm following.
Part of the gig is sharing your opinion, articulating your thoughts, and taking the heat that comes with that. Sometimes the participants in this media game, it can get heavy. Charlemagne lost an HBO deal. Akademiks was fucking fired, suspended or some shit for saying something about whatever he went through. I won't even repeat it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've gone through my shit. If you're in this media game, you go through some shit. But that Spotify rant, why that moment was heavy for me, was because there was a real live, active smear campaign happening at the time. Right?
Yep, I saw it.
But it wasn't enough to just see it, because if you were on the internet, you saw it.
Right.
But if you know media, right, it all appeared rather orchestrated. It looked planned. It felt planned. It felt.
It was a coordinated attack. It looked like.
That's how it felt. And I mean, when I started getting word from niggas in jail that there was a smear campaign going on, I'm like, all right, man, niggas in jail shouldn't know about the smear campaign. Even though jail looks a lot more fun to visit nowadays. Nowadays. I'm just saying, they're taking pics, they're doing voice notes. I don't know.
Fam,
I don't know. They got
topic, but yeah, I've seen some.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Right? But the important part of what I'm saying is I got on Charlemagne because he appeared to be going out of his way to devalue me. One of the most prominent voices in this media thing, for that one instance where it appeared that I was down, used all of his platforms and all of his might to continue to push the narrative that they fucked it up. Joe fucked it up. Joe don't know business. Now, let me be clear. I'm only bringing this up because I listen to Kwame Brown and I feel him. Kwame Brown is saying, yo, y'all are calling me a bust for the past 20 years when my family comes from poverty.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of people make it to where I made it to, and I accomplished my goal. You can't speak for what my goals are. I'm listening to that, and I'm listening to Charlemagne's apology, and it sounds like he gets it. But I don't think he gets it. I think that all of this Funk Master Flex, all of the nasty shit that I'm staying away from because my moral compass tells me to stay away from it, even if I mention it. But all of that stuff is a pow-pow. It make you back up just a little bit. It make you reassess some things. Enter Joe's viewpoint on Duke. Since 2010, he has sat on that platform kicking my back in. When I appeared to be down, anybody that had something negative to say, he spoke to them. He added fuel to anything that was negative Joe. 2010 to 2014, 15, not a mention of an album, music, none of that, but who cares? Because Joe's meteoric rise, it didn't look possible. But then it happened. And then there was still these passive-aggressive attacks to devalue me while I'm trying to gain capital for me and 50 other people.
This entrepreneur.
My bad.
I had a real problem with that. And so did Kwame Brown.
Question for you.
That apology ticked me off. All my people from South Carolina.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Charlemagne from South Carolina. Now there's magically a South Carolina brotherhood. Kwame Brown people from South Carolina. Moncks Corner, Sumter, Columbia, 803. Y'all know the vibes. That apology ticked me off. Everything he was saying to Kwame Brown applies. So are you doing it because this is what's in your heart? Or are you doing it because you got some evil shit in you somewhere? You got some passive aggression, some rage, some hate, some... I don't know what niggas is into on their own time. What's your question for me, Ish?
You just gave a timeline of...
Of niggas sitting on white people platforms, kicking my back and adding the things that they knew wasn't true.
All right. So
and the second that somebody else says, I'm going to add to something that he says may or may not be true, lawyers come out, cease and desist come out. He's doing interviews. Oh, Joe said he might interview such and such. That was enough for me. That was it. That let me know Joe is evil. Joe is... Nigga, shut up.
So this, he just adds...
Too many niggas talking about Joe that don't know Joe.
This just adds to my question. If you said from 2010, roughly till now, he's been doing X, Y, and Z to harm you, why do you chop it up with this nigga, man?
The gig is the gig.
That's why I differ.
The gig is the gig.
That's why I
the
differ.
gig is the gig. See, Ish, and this is where I differ. I just said this to Mandy on the phone this morning. She said, how you doing? How's your mental health? I said, Mandy, when everybody chooses their goal in life or their path, you have to take what comes on that path.
You do. I agree with that.
I chose this.
You're right.
I picked this.
You're right.
They're going to throw their stones. They're going to throw bricks. They're going to want to see me fall on my fucking face. They're going to want to see me rise, fall, get loved, be hated. They're going to want all of that shit. And I'm prepared to get it because I chose this path. I'm with all the smoke. No pun intended.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, if I know purposely somebody is making a conscious effort to do me harm, whether it's physical, emotional, social, spiritual, whatever the case, financial harm, I'm not talking to you.
We
dog.
just spoke about this.
I'm not kicking it with you. I'm not doing my pull up with you on there. Fuck you.
I disagree with you.
I know.
Let me counter your point.
We two human beings.
Let me counter your point.
I'm not doing that.
But let me put it back to you.
Because then it makes you look phony. If you knew a nigga was shooting for you since 2010 and you sitting there interviewing a nigga in your living room, fuck him. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'll take the gig and I'll take the stranger shooting at me.
I'm off on a tangent, but my brain works weird this way. So just follow me. I was watching an interview. Vlad, fuck you, Vlad, was interviewing some real live street nigga. And the real live street nigga was a part of Supreme Team and all of this other shit that I won't get into. And that led me down a Supreme Team rabbit hole of Preem and Bimmy and just anybody in that story, which kept me in Queens. And I know some of the people that I was reading about, right? And I started reading about murders, about some Queens street legend niggas that just got killed. And some of the what's going on behind the scenes. And nigga, we are of no relation to each other outside of... Oh, please, you cracking your neck? I want to hear it. Let's do it. And even with him doing all of that shit that he did.
You ain't got to be mad, though. It's just saying,
we don't have to be besties.
Right.
Disagree.
I'm not...
Disagree.
I think...
Let me tell you something.
I'm agreeing with Ish a little bit on that.
I know, but I'm trying to tell y'all something, and then y'all can respond to it. Listen to this. Charlemagne not liking Joe Budden. And damn, see, this is what I wanted the podcast to be, transparent time. Charlemagne not liking Joe Budden is at the lowest of totem poles.
Indeed.
The lowest of the totem poles. He alters nothing for me. He changes nothing in my world. Where I'm going, there's the hedge fund niggas that don't like me. There's the board members that don't like me. There's the race.
All right. I'm gonna keep playing with y'all my opinion so far. What do y'all want? Keep playing? All right, let's go.
Racist people at the companies that don't like me. It's the racism in advertising that don't like me. It's real fights with people that do not like me that I have to exhaust energy on to eat and to feed people and to get my... Charlemagne is not that. That's why I get confused when, like, whatever he said, he said something, oh, I know what's going on behind the scenes, and nigga, we are of no relation to each other outside of...
my go.
Oh, please, you cracking your neck, I want to hear it, let's do it.
You know that, right? You're saying there are bigger nemesis that I need to encounter to get where I'm trying to go, right?
And I got to talk to him.
Indeed.
I got to deal with him.
And that's my
I got to
point.
communicate with him.
Let me go.
Rub
You
elbows,
have
go to
talk.
dinner with him.
Yeah, you got to talk to them.
Right?
Right? Cool. Granted. That's you have to do that. With regards to him, one, he don't know that the shit he's doing is not going to have long-term effects on your success. You know that.
But wait, how you don't know that?
Because
all right, man. Let me just hop up here. I'm gonna be honest. I've gone back and forth and thinking, is there a Joe Budden smear campaign? Is there? And if there was, who would be orchestrating it? Why? Who would run it? Who would be pulling the strings? And who's powerful enough to do it? It's clear to me that Joe thinks Charlemagne's running this smear campaign sting on him. Did it before and maybe doing it again. I'm going to be very honest. I don't think so. I think what's happening here, and I could be wrong. By the way, I'm not discounting the fact that there could be smear campaigns ran on people. All I'm trying to say is that with people like Joe, with like Charlemagne, shit, even me, because you're polarizing, you end up rubbing people the wrong way or either burning bridges, whatever the case is. And what happens is that people, because niggas like Charlemagne, Joe, even myself, they look at it as, oh, this guy is powerful. They sit on whatever they got until they feel like it's the jumping. It's like the big bully at school. We can't do nothing to this nigga unless everybody fuck him up. Now we could get it off. Because think about what I went through with the Chrissy Teigen thing. Bro, they were trying to hit up chicks. They were trying to use my ex's words. Didn't he abuse his ex? And then she came out like, nigga, he ain't do shit. What the fuck y'all talking about? And then they got mad at her. What the fuck? So was that a smear campaign, or was that just people who don't like you and you like, nigga, I got a lot of people that don't like me. I maybe have equal the amount of people that don't like me that do like me. Same with Joe. Joe, you have burned every building down as you've gone on your way. You've told people who support you, random other people, suck your dick, this, that, and third. People do want to see you fail. Same with me, same with Charlemagne. And when one thing starts to gain traction, everybody else brings out the other shit they got against you. So I don't know if it's a orchestrated smear campaign or just the mere fact that, hey, niggas don't like you. Bro, the moment I slip, you'll hear all type of weird shit about me. Yo, I try to do this, he try to do that. So that's why I'm trying to say, I think Joe is so much in the belief that Charlemagne started this. Joe, some of these motherfuckers who wanted to speak out about you before probably thought if they spoke out before, your audience was going to get them clapped up. Nobody will listen. Their opinion didn't matter until you seem to be down. Now everybody has an ear to what other people that are having accusatory remarks about you might say. Let me keep listening.
Because he's trying to. What do you mean he don't know that?
I said, how don't he know that? You say he don't
He
know
might
that.
be short-sighted. I don't know the guy. What I'm saying is, when he's shut up, man. When he's
I'm saying they've only tried to kill me for 20 years,
all right, so again, all right, so watch this. If a nigga's trying to kill you and they got you in the garage and they set the garage on fire,
we're gonna get to the truth.
Fuck.
Yeah, and they lock.
By the way, I do want to say, I see people are jumping in because I think they always wanted. They probably don't like Joe for whatever reason. It's a reason why like I've stayed out of most of this shit. Joe's talented. Like if y'all think y'all about to get him out of here with this thing, you're not. When he comes back, I could imagine he has a list of names, and those people are gonna get it paid back 10 times worse because that's what I would do. I don't know if y'all know, Mealy Mole and Rory were starting to come around and starting to suck my dick. Pause. Before I went off on them. There was a time before I went over them, the time mentioned like, oh, Ak always got the correct information. But motherfucker, I never forgot the points where you said I was on coke. I never forgot the point where you were devaluing me. I never forgot the point where you were slandering me. So not because you came around means that I give a fuck about that. That's what I'm saying with Joe. I think Joe is probably taking names, and you're not getting him out of here. He's gonna be here no matter what. Yeah, he's gonna come back around and pay a revengeful receipt to all the motherfuckers who were just trying to chime in. That's how it goes.
Because you tried to kill me and you were unsuccessful at doing so, I'm not talking to you because your intent was otherwise. It's the intent. If I'm not talking to you.
There before your very eyes. Alone. What's the difference?
It's no different.
You can't shame either.
You're right.
So careful about what you shame when you sit up here on these fucking, you know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying now you know where angle he's taking.
No, now I'm not buying him any chicken from Kentucky Fried anymore. I mean, from Kennedy Fried Chicken.
Okay.
Charlemagne don't know me. There's a long list of people out there that speak about me that they don't really know me. But I took offense to that. Why? Because they're trying to get niggas paid. So it's talk about $85 million being generational wealth for where some of us come from. No, $1 million is generational wealth for where some of us come from. A half a ticket. 1.5. 2.5. I'm saying numbers today that I've never imagined myself saying. I'm saying numbers today that I've never learned math on. Let me not get loud. People think I'm erratic when I'm loud. And I'm not erratic. Right? So I went and tore his ass up something nice. Thanos style. Pow pow. Get off me, little nigga. Because I don't play with you niggas.
Man, please don't say pow pow.
Pow pow, just a little pow pow. But the pow pow, I didn't articulate it right. But everything Kwame Brown is saying was my point. Hey, if we in the black media space, then let's handle it like black media. But some of you are puppets. Some of you are controlled. And some of you are executing interests outside of your own. So why would you attempt to devalue me 100% black owned, black everything plus parks when I'm trying to change the lives of so many people?
Yo, he got the Dave Chappelle cadence down right. I'm gonna listen to this shit too much. Yo, Joe, check it out. Show me, check it out. I personally believe y'all got a beef that is beyond what the general person who watches y'all could comprehend. I think y'all beefs really started over Tahiri. I really want to believe that. I still believe that to this day. I believe because of maybe Joe's treatment to Tahiri or whatever the case is, Tahiri used to be a frequent person or someone who has been on at least once or twice on Charlemagne's podcast, Brilliant Idiots, when it just started, I do believe there was some friction there. When Joe went up to the Breakfast Club, Joe was always getting grilled about domestic violence accusations. And I could imagine he's looking at Charlemagne like, bro, you my nigga. Why you talking about that shit so much and grilling me when I ain't come here to talk about that and shit? Like, bro, you know, when a man is accused of that, whether he was completely innocent or not, it's hard to kind of get that shit away from him. I think they have a secret private beef that has evolved into a lot of other things. I think it turned to business beef when Joe was basically kind of doing his Dame Dash shit, talking about ownership, blah, 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 and also then kind of made Charlemagne to look like he was weak. Now, Charlemagne did comment on Joe first in terms of that business dealing, but bro, he's on Breakfast Club. You got to comment on everything that's popular. And I think Charlemagne was only commenting not to hate on Joe. I think he was trying to comment just to say, hey, yo, Joe, you saying certain stuff about business that could lead young people into really fucked up positions. And I agree with that too, because a lot of shit that Joe be talking about business-wise, if you're not Joe Budden, that's not going to happen. If you're not Joe Budden, that's not going to happen. So I can understand why Charlemagne's like, hey, I'm going to just give a counter example and to even this out. Then I can see why Joe's like, whoa, nigga, you're making me look more or less credible. So anyway, I hope they do whatever issues they got, bro. I don't know. All right. Is there anything else don't need to talk about with this particular thing? I talked to Joe like 2 days ago. We talked about some of the funny shit. I said, Joe, why do people think that like you used to give me information? And Joe said something which is true. Joe said, yo, Ak, these motherfuckers are scared to actually admit that you have done the work and you are in a position and you're smart enough to be able to see shit on face value and make an educated guess. If they ever say that, it defeats their whole point. They have to say, I'm telling you what's going on, because if they would admit Ak is just smart enough to realize what's going on, even in other people's situation, it would make them look stupid because they hate you. That's very true. I had a couple gripes with him. I shared that and, spoke to him about his overall situation. He says he's fine. Says he's fine. I feel like he's turned eel on the audience and he said, yo, Ak, that's why the movie didn't end here. So in what he's telling me, this needed to happen for the upside later. I'm impatient, so usually I can't wait for the upside, or like the shit to come back around. But congrats. What y'all talking about, man? I'm so fucking tired. Somebody says, yo, Ak, the last 3 streams been the same. Might as well create a channel called The War on Joe Budden Podcast. No, I like Joe. Bro, we're not talking about his podcast. I'm just talking about Joe, Charlemagne. That's the thing going on in that space. Anyway, we can move on to Drake. Bro, all these niggas, like, when I'm up for, like, some drama shit, they'll talk about me, bro. Like, don't get mad if I talk about them. And I get it. We shouldn't talk about them too much. But, for whatever reason, you guys seem obsessed with the lives and careers of media personalities whose job, like my job, is to talk about and discuss the culture and other people, but yet y'all are obsessed and y'all care about my life and y'all care about Joe and y'all care about Charlemagne. So you can't be mad if we talk about each other, okay? Anyway, oh, this is what I wanted to play. Me talking about that took way too long. Jesus Christ.